Hello and welcome to the Podquest of Bread. Tonight we are on the eve of our once every 4-year circus act. And that would be the presidential debates and the kickoff to the the Democrats versus Republicans circus act that happens every 4 years to attempt to convince Americans why they should vote for one of the two corporate parties. But I'll hit on that in a little bit more. So of course tomorrow night Donald Trump squares off against Democratic nominee Joe Biden in the first of a series of presidential debates, which are supposed to influence people as to which side they should vote for, which of the two corporate candidates they should vote for, which one falls most in line with their ideals and their beliefs, their thought processes, and their view and vision for the future of America. Of course, if you're a staunch leftist like myself, or anybody that is not convinced to vote for either one of these corporate fools, tomorrow's debates literally are nothing more than a time to sit down, pick out your favorite bingo card with famous Joe Biden lines or famous Trump lines, and do a shot every time that they say them or attack each other to the point where you're drunk and falling off of your chair. Because that's the only way for most people, logical thinking Americans, to make it through these debates. What I thought I'd do tonight, though, is kind of go through what you probably can expect from both of the candidates tomorrow on stage. But before I do that, I would like to say something real quick for my viewers who are voting either Libertarian or Green, or for my viewers who are voting Independent. Of course, tomorrow's debates are going to exclude some candidates. Joe Jorgensen, who is the Libertarians candidate, who is on the ballot in all 50 states. And logically, you would think that if someone's on the ballot in all 50 states, that the American people should have the right to hear from them. The Green Party and their candidate, Hallie Hawkins. Though he does not have 50 state ballot access, he still is on a majority of states and is running a pretty solid campaign. And you would think that the American public has the right to hear from them and see them debate both Joe Biden and Donald Trump and answer the same basic questions. And then those of us that are even more unconvinced of who to vote for, who are going to be voting for candidates like Mark Charles, Independent, Native American, running for president, who the American public has every right to hear from and every right to have their answers to the questions heard. But of course, we are only going to have two candidates from the two corporate parties answering questions and going back and forth at each other. And what can we expect? It's pretty much going to be, in my opinion, a wash, rinse, repeat of the 2016 debates. We're going to start off with Biden talking about Trump's failures, if Biden does have the chance to go first. Biden's going to highlight Trump's failures. Biden is going to be very, very, very keen on highlighting how Donald Trump has failed to react to COVID-19, how he has tanked the economy, how everything that he is doing as the president of the United States could be found to be corrupt and could be found to be potentially criminal and or treasonous. Joe Biden will hammer these points in because the people that Joe Biden is attempting to reach are the moderates. That is Joe Biden's entire campaign. He's trying to reach the never Trump Republicans and the moderate Democrats, the corporate Democrats that typically would vote for a candidate like him, the same ones that voted for Hillary Clinton in 2016. Joe Biden is going to hammer in key details about what Donald Trump is doing, and you can expect that Joe Biden is going to try to be on his A game as best as possible because of the attacks that Donald Trump has already levied at Joe Biden just ahead of the debates. See, just as recently as today, Donald Trump let out a tweet talking about how Joe Biden is refusing to take a drug test before, during, or after the debates. Donald Trump is already working to discredit Biden. He hasn't even reached the debate stage, and Donald Trump's working on this. And the reason that Donald Trump is working on this is because of one key fact. Donald Trump, as a debater, is a horrid debater. His approach to debates is to literally absorb everything that the opposing candidate throws at him and then retort with some sort of quippy third grade response and or insult that gets his fans and his cult riled up. Joe Biden, though I don't like him, is an excellent debater. He has the skills. He's been doing this for long enough that he knows how to take those attacks and turn them into actual valid counterpoints against his opposing candidate. And being such, Donald Trump is going to attempt to levy as many assaults at Joe Biden ahead of the debates before they even get on the stage together. Now, tomorrow's debate's going to, of course, look a lot different. There will be no ceremonial handshake that we traditionally would see as a sign of peace and camaraderie between the two candidates prior to them ripping and tearing at each other for 90 minutes. We will not see the typical crowd. We will not see most of the typical things we see during a debate, of course, because COVID-19. And I can surmise that Joe Biden is probably going to reference something about that at some point, that if Donald Trump had acted faster or not tried to downplay the virus, that maybe the debate would be looking a lot different, and that the American public might be able to be in the audience, and that they may be able to carry on the tradition that happens every 4 years where the two opposing corporate candidates shake each other's hands before ripping and tearing each other apart and further dividing the United States of fucking America. See, this debate is a sham in so many levels and in so many ways. The first one I hit on is that we are excluding candidates that the American public has the right to see on that stage. We are told that these candidates can't be on the stage because they don't hit arbitrary polling numbers, which are raised every time that candidate comes even close to hitting those arbitrary numbers, or they haven't reached financing or contribution goals, or they haven't done X, Y, Z, up to and including saying that we can't have them on the stage because there's not enough room, though the Democratic nomination process proved that we could have 20 podiums if we wanted. See, what we're going to be doing tomorrow is watching the corporate parties levy assaults at each other while further deluding the American public into believing that they have to vote for one of these two jokers, one of these two failures in a suit. This is what we are looking at. The American public is going to be fooled into believing by Joe Biden that if you don't vote for me, you're voting for Trump, and Trump's going to fool the American public into believing that if you don't vote for me, you're voting for Biden. Donald Trump's going to levy false attacks at Biden. And I may sound like I'm defending Biden here, but I promise you I'm not. See, tomorrow, Donald Trump is going to continue to play out the bullshit that the Republican Party and the conservatives and the GOP have been throwing out there for years. Ooh, socialism. Ooh, they're coming to take your guns. Ooh, the left wants your guns. But see, they're going to throw those same very assaults out without understanding the fracture that has happened in the real American left. See, the real American left is divided between a few things, and this is what won't be highlighted tomorrow. Some of the American left is on the settle for Biden train, but a lot of it is on the Howie Hawkins train. Some of it might be riding the Joe Jorgensen bandwagon, and some of them are doing what I'm doing and voting for an independent candidate. But tomorrow, Donald Trump's going to be sure to highlight that Joe Biden would bring socialism to America. Ooh, goody, please do it. I would vote for him. Or he's going to say that Joe Biden's going to sit there and support Antifa and support anarchists. Again, please do it. I would vote for him in a heartbeat. See, Donald Trump's going to play off of the typical BS. He's going to get his base riled up with using those key words, anarchist and Antifa and socialism. He's going to say these things. He might even throw out that boogie communist word tomorrow. And while doing all of these things, he's going to further delude the American public into what they're doing. Now, of course, Joe Biden's going to sit there and try to pander to the left. He's going to try to pander to us. And how is he going to do that? He's going to talk about giving us affordable health care and or moving towards the Medicare for all, something he actually doesn't support. Or he's going to temporarily hit on climate change while being very sure to ignore the 3 key words Green New Deal. Or he's going to briefly talk about helping student debt. Or he's going to briefly talk about making sure that Americans have a living wage, a wage that they can actually afford to survive without living paycheck to paycheck. But here's the thing. He's only going to say those things to try and get the left to him. Because, as I've said multiple times on this podcast, Joe Biden, liberals, the corporate Democrats, they are not the left. When you look at them on the world political spectrum, they fall just over the center line to the right. And in fact, when you strip away most of the things that these two jokers in suits are going to argue about tomorrow, and if you were to take what Joe Biden supports, remove his name, remove Kamala Harris's name, remove the Democrat or the D behind them, and drop it into any Republican circle, the Republicans would fawn over it. And in fact, if you take away most of what Donald Trump would stand for and remove Trump or Pence from it or the R or Republican from it and drop it in a corporate Democrat circle, what we will see is Democrats fawn over it. Because when you look at 99% of what both of these parties stand for, it is literally the fucking same. It works for the corporations, it works for big businesses, but it does not work for the worker and it does not work for the American people. We the people. That's what this government's supposed to be about. Tomorrow's debates are nothing more than a joke to keep us voting for them, to keep them in power so they can keep getting money from their corporate greeds, from the corporate entities that have bought and sold them. That's what tomorrow's debates are all about. Meanwhile, the American people will lose. The American people will continue to lose because we won't get the Green New Deal. We won't get affordable health care. We won't get a living wage. We won't have any impact on our student debt. This is all the debates are. So, if you really want a simple way to enjoy the debates, I recommend finding any 2020 political or presidential debates bingo card. Get your marker out. Get a shot glass. Get your favorite alcohol. Sit down. And every time one of your spots is checked off, do a shot. See if you can make it to the end of it. But if you do make it to the end of it and you actually want to hear a discussion on change, a discussion on actually helping the American worker and the American people, something you will not hear from either one of the corporate politicians that will take the stage tomorrow, if you actually want to hear what change sounds like in America and a party that will actually talk about these things, then be sure to check out Movement for a People's Party on Facebook and on YouTube and on Twitter. Because just after the debates, they will go live and they will discuss how the American people lost in tomorrow's debates. We've already predicted it. We are going to lose either way. And what the People's Party is going to do tomorrow is discuss how we can win, how we can succeed, how we can take corporations out of politics. So that way, when there's a debate in 2024, hopefully it includes more candidates, and hopefully it actually focuses on the American people and not the goddamn corporations that have bought our politicians and taken their duty away from serving us to serving them. Tomorrow's debates are a sham. They're a joke. They mean nothing at all. Some of the most important topics we could talk about, things that will drastically impact the years 2021 through 2024 and beyond, will not be talked about. You and I have lost. Unless you're one of the corporate entities that have bought these politicians, you've already lost. There's nothing else to say about that. So, first off, again, enjoy the debates. Make it a drinking game. Maybe you'll actually make it through it. And if you do, watch the Movement for a People's Party, and let's see what a real party for the people, of the people, and by the people can be. Stay beautiful, humans.